For most of its history, humanity believed it was alone in the universe. The stars filled the night sky with mystery, but no signal ever came, no alien ship ever landed, and no proof of intelligent life beyond Earth was found. What humans did not know was that far beyond their solar system, thousands of advanced civilizations already existed. To them, Earth was nothing special. It was a distant world occupied by a young species that had barely begun exploring space. The Galactic Union, a massive alliance that connected countless star systems, had known about Earth for centuries. They watched from afar, occasionally studying human development, but they never considered humanity important enough to contact. In their eyes, humans were primitive, emotional, and technologically insignificant. Earth was simply another small planet among billions. Several thousand light-years away, deep inside Union territory, an enormous experimental warship floated within a restricted shipyard. The vessel was called the Horizon Spear. It was one of the most ambitious engineering projects ever attempted by the Union. Built by some of the galaxy's greatest minds, the ship was designed to carry revolutionary technologies that would push space travel and military power beyond anything seen before. The project consumed vast resources and took decades to complete. Every major species within the Union contributed something to its construction. Expectations were incredibly high. Unfortunately, the ship became a disaster. During its first full systems test, multiple experimental components began failing at the same time. Energy networks overloaded. Navigation systems produced impossible calculations. Several artificial intelligence cores started conflicting with one another. Engineers spent years trying to solve the problems, but every repair created new failures somewhere else. The vessel became known as the most expensive mistake in Union history. Entire committees debated what should be done with it. Some wanted to dismantle it completely. Others wanted to continue studying it. Eventually, the Union leadership reached a simple conclusion. The ship was useless. After decades of failure, nobody wanted to waste more resources on it. Official records classified the project as abandoned. The massive vessel was quietly removed from Union space and transported toward an unimportant region near Earth's solar system. Since humans had no advanced space capabilities, nobody expected them to ever find it. The wreck was released toward Earth and allowed to crash into the deepest region of the Pacific Ocean. The Union considered the matter closed. On Earth, nobody noticed. The wreck entered the atmosphere during a violent storm. Most of the impact energy was absorbed by the ocean. The giant vessel sank into a deep trench nearly 7 kilometers below the surface. There it remained hidden for years beneath layers of sediment and darkness. Time passed. Human civilization continued advancing. New technologies emerged. Nations competed and cooperated. Space agencies launched missions farther than ever before. Artificial intelligence improved. Deep-sea exploration became more common. Then, one ordinary day, everything changed. A research vessel operated by an international ocean survey team was scanning part of the Pacific seafloor. Among the scientists was a young Korean engineer named Jisoo. She had spent years studying advanced materials and underwater detection systems. The mission itself was routine. They were mapping geological formations and searching for rare mineral deposits. Then their sensors detected something impossible. At first, everyone assumed it was a malfunction. The object resting beneath the ocean floor was enormous. Its shape appeared artificial, yet it matched no known human design. The readings showed unusual energy traces unlike anything found in nature. Jisoo carefully reviewed the data several times. "There has to be a mistake," one scientist said. But there wasn't. Additional scans only increased the mystery. Within weeks, multiple governments became involved. Military organizations secured the area. Special research teams were assembled. News of the discovery was kept secret from the public. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, humanity prepared to investigate the unknown. Months later, an advanced exploration vehicle finally reached the object. The images stunned everyone watching. Buried beneath layers of rock and sediment was a colossal metallic structure stretching several kilometers in length. Despite spending years underwater, much of its surface remained intact. Strange symbols covered parts of the hull. Massive towers and structures rose from the wreck like the remains of an ancient city. The conclusion was unavoidable. It was not human. The discovery triggered the largest scientific operation in history. Thousands of researchers from around the world joined the project. Among them was another Korean scientist named Minji, an expert in artificial intelligence. Working alongside Jisoo and countless others, she analyzed every piece of data they could gather. At first, progress was slow. The vessel's technology appeared completely beyond human understanding. Materials stronger than anything on Earth formed the outer hull. Internal systems contained components unlike any known machine. Some sections seemed to operate according to scientific principles humanity had never encountered. Many experts believed studying the ship would take centuries. Yet humanity refused to quit. The mystery was simply too important. Years passed as researchers slowly uncovered new discoveries. They learned how to enter some sections of the vessel. They mapped internal corridors. They recovered damaged databases. Every breakthrough opened dozens of new questions. Then something unexpected happened. While investigating a sealed chamber near the center of the wreck, Minji and her team accidentally activated a dormant system. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then lights appeared. One by one, ancient displays illuminated across the chamber. Machines that had been silent for decades suddenly awakened. Emergency power flowed through forgotten circuits. Scientists rushed to monitor the situation. Deep inside the wreck, a single artificial intelligence core restarted. The activation spread through nearby systems like a wave. Warning messages appeared in unknown languages. Automated repair drones briefly moved before shutting down again. For several tense minutes, nobody knew what would happen next. Then a calm voice echoed through the chamber. The language was unfamiliar at first, but the system rapidly analyzed human communications and adapted. Unknown biological entities detected. Silence filled the room. The scientists stared at one another. The voice continued. Please identify your civilization. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Humanity had just received its first direct communication from an alien intelligence. Eventually, Minji stepped forward. Her voice shook slightly. We are humans. This is Earth. Several seconds passed. The AI processed the answer. Then it responded. Earth. Human civilization. Database records indicate pre-contact species. Those words sent shockwaves through every monitoring center across the planet. Humanity was not alone. Even more surprising was the AI's reaction. It seemed confused. After accessing available information, the intelligence finally asked a question. Why are humans aboard this vessel? The scientists explained how the ship had been discovered beneath the ocean. Again, the AI fell silent. Finally, it delivered an answer nobody expected. This vessel was abandoned by its creators. The room grew quiet. The AI began revealing fragments of the ship's history. It explained the failed project. It described endless technical problems. It recounted decades of unsuccessful repair attempts. According to the AI, dozens of advanced species had tried and failed to make the vessel operational. The Horizon Sphere was classified as an engineering failure, the AI stated. Probability of successful restoration was considered negligible. Jisoo listened carefully. Something about the statement bothered her. Human engineers often succeeded by approaching problems differently. Sometimes experts became trapped by their own assumptions. Sometimes fresh perspectives changed everything. She asked a simple question. If it failed, why was it never redesigned? The AI paused. Existing design philosophies restricted alternative solutions. Several scientists exchanged curious looks. Human history was full of unconventional solutions. The AI continued. No civilization has successfully restored the vessel. Many people might have viewed that statement as a warning. Humans heard a challenge. Over the following months, researchers studied every detail they could access. The AI shared limited information about the ship systems. The more humanity learned, the more fascinated they became. The vessel was not merely a warship. It contained technologies capable of transforming civilization. Advanced energy systems, revolutionary manufacturing techniques, propulsion concepts beyond anything humans had imagined. Most species had given up on the ship. Humanity did the opposite. Engineers became obsessed. Scientists dedicated entire careers to understanding its mysteries. Governments invested unprecedented resources. Universities created new research programs. A growing belief spread throughout the project. Maybe the aliens had been wrong. Maybe the ship was not a failure. Maybe they had simply stopped trying. Late one evening, Jisoo stood inside a vast observation chamber overlooking part of the ancient vessel. Dim emergency lights reflected across metallic walls that had once belonged to a forgotten dream. Beside her, a projection generated by the AI observed quietly. The probability of success remains extremely low, the AI said. Jisoo smiled. Humans had heard those words many times before throughout history. Impossible flights, impossible machines, impossible journeys. Every generation had faced limits that later disappeared. She looked across the enormous structure resting beneath the ocean. The ship was broken, damaged, abandoned, forgotten, but it was still there. And humanity had never been very good at walking away from impossible challenges. "We're going to fix it," she said. For the first time since its activation, the ancient AI seemed uncertain how to respond. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, hidden from the rest of the galaxy, a discarded alien failure had found new owners, and humanity was just getting started. After Jisoo made her promise to repair the abandoned alien vessel, the entire project entered a new phase unlike anything in human history. What had once been a secret research operation became the center of the greatest scientific effort ever attempted on Earth. Governments that had spent decades competing against one another slowly realized that no single nation could understand the Horizon Sphere alone. Scientists, engineers, programmers, and researchers from every corner of the world began working together. Massive underwater facilities were constructed around the buried ship, and new cities grew near the project sites. Years passed as humanity poured its knowledge, resources, and determination into the ancient vessel. The alien AI watched everything carefully. At first, it remained skeptical. According to its records, civilizations far more advanced than humanity had already failed. Yet humans continued working with a level of persistence that surprised it. Every day brought new attempts, new ideas, and new experiments. Jisoo became one of the lead engineers overseeing structural restoration while Minji worked closely with the AI systems hidden deep inside the ship. Another Korean engineer named Yuna joined the project and specialized in energy systems. A young programmer named Dae worked on translating alien software. Together, they formed part of a growing team responsible for solving problems that had defeated entire alien civilizations. The deeper humans explored the Horizon Sphere, the more they realized why the project had failed. The vessel was not poorly built. In fact, it was almost too advanced. Its creators had combined technologies from dozens of species, but many of those systems were designed using different engineering philosophies. Components often worked against each other. Energy networks conflicted. Control systems competed for authority. Artificial intelligence modules followed different logic structures. To alien designers, the solution had always been to make systems more complex. Humans approached the problem differently. Instead of adding new layers, they started removing unnecessary ones. They simplified networks. They reorganized command structures. They connected systems in ways no alien engineer had considered. Whenever the AI reviewed their proposals, it frequently declared them impossible or inefficient. Yet many of those solutions worked. This confused the ancient intelligence more than any technical achievement. One day, while reviewing an energy distribution problem that had existed since the ship's creation, Yuna suggested rerouting power through secondary maintenance pathways originally intended only for emergency repairs. The AI immediately rejected the idea. According to every design rule in its database, such a solution violated accepted engineering standards. Nevertheless, Yuna convinced the team to test it. To everyone's surprise, including the AI, the modification stabilized a reactor network that had remained unusable for centuries. Similar breakthroughs continued happening. Day discovered that several software failures were caused by different AI modules trying to override each other. Instead of forcing them into a hierarchy, he created a cooperative system allowing them to share decisions. The result immediately improved processing efficiency across multiple sections of the vessel. The AI began asking questions. It wanted to understand why humans kept succeeding where others had failed. The answer was surprisingly simple. Humans were accustomed to working with imperfect systems. Throughout their history, they had built solutions from limited resources, adapted to unexpected problems, and experimented with ideas that experts often dismissed. They did not view obstacles as reasons to stop. They viewed them as puzzles waiting to be solved. Decade after decade, the project continued. New generations of scientists joined the effort. Children grew up hearing stories about the giant alien ship resting beneath the Pacific Ocean. Universities built entire programs around Horizon Sphere technologies. Industries transformed as discoveries from the vessel spread across Earth. Advanced materials revolutionized construction. New medical technologies extended human lifespans. Cleaner energy systems reduced global shortages. Humanity was changing because of the ship long before it ever flew again. Meanwhile, far beyond Earth, the Galactic Union occasionally monitored the forgotten project. At first, nobody paid much attention. Reports describing human activity around the wreck were often dismissed. The Horizon Sphere had become little more than an embarrassing historical footnote. Most officials assumed humans were wasting their time. Some even found the situation amusing. A primitive species was attempting repairs that had defeated the greatest minds in the galaxy. To them, the outcome seemed obvious. Yet as years passed, strange reports continued arriving. Sensors detected portions of the ship coming online. Internal systems that had been dormant for centuries were reactivating. Energy signatures slowly increased. A few observers began expressing concern. Others laughed at the idea that humans might accomplish anything meaningful. Back on Earth, the AI was becoming increasingly cooperative. It had spent centuries believing the vessel would never function again. Now it watched humans make progress that exceeded every prediction. Although it still warned that full restoration remained unlikely, its confidence in humanity continued growing. The relationship between the AI and the human team evolved into something closer to friendship. It learned about human history, culture, and behavior. In return, it shared fragments of knowledge about the wider galaxy. Jisoo often spent hours discussing engineering problems with the AI. Sometimes they disagreed completely. Sometimes their debates lasted entire nights. Yet many of the project's greatest breakthroughs emerged from those conversations. Then came one of the most important discoveries in the ship's history. Deep within the vessel rested the primary quantum reactor, a massive power source designed to energize every major system aboard the Horizon Sphere. According to the AI, no civilization had ever successfully operated it for more than a few minutes. Every activation attempt had ended in catastrophic instability. The reactor represented the heart of the ship's failure. Without it, true restoration was impossible. For years, teams studied every component. Thousands of simulations were performed. Countless theories were tested. Eventually, Jisoo, Yuna, and Day noticed something unusual. The reactor itself was not flawed. The problem came from the control algorithms governing energy flow. Alien engineers had designed the system to seek perfect balance at all times. Human analysis revealed that perfect balance was actually causing instability. The reactor performed better when allowed to adjust naturally. The solution seemed almost absurd. Instead of controlling every fluctuation, the reactor needed freedom to regulate itself. When the team presented their findings, even the AI struggled to accept the conclusion. The original designers had spent decades pursuing maximum precision. Humanity was suggesting less control instead. Despite its doubts, the AI approved a carefully monitored test. The day of activation became one of the most important moments in human history. Around the world, millions watched live broadcasts from the underwater command center. Scientists gathered in observation rooms. Engineers monitored every system. The atmosphere was filled with nervous excitement. If the reactor failed, years of progress could be lost. If it succeeded, everything would change. Jisoo stood beside Yuna and Dae as final preparations were completed. The AI monitored thousands of variables simultaneously. A countdown appeared across every display. 10, 9, 8. The reactor chamber began glowing. 7, 6, 5. Ancient systems awakened throughout the vessel. 4, 3, 2. Energy surged into the network. 1. Activation. For several seconds, nobody spoke. The reactor output climbed steadily. Warning alarms that usually appeared remained silent. Energy distribution stabilized. Power flowed into dormant systems. Across the horizon sphere, lights began turning on for the first time in centuries. 1 minute passed, then 5, then 10. The reactor continued operating perfectly. Cheers erupted throughout the command center. Some scientists cried. Others hugged their colleagues. Around the world, celebrations spread across entire nations. Humanity had accomplished what dozens of advanced civilizations could not. The horizon sphere's heart was alive. Yet the greatest reaction came from the AI itself. For a long moment it remained completely silent. Finally, its voice echoed through the chamber. Historical records indicate a 0% probability of this outcome. Jisoo smiled. Maybe your records need updating. The AI processed the statement. Then, for the first time since its activation, it said something no one expected. Humanity continues to exceed all projections. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, power flowed through the ancient vessel like blood returning to a sleeping giant. Systems that had been dead for centuries awakened one by one. The ship was still far from complete, but for the first time in its existence, the horizon sphere was no longer a failed project. And somewhere among the stars, unseen observers were beginning to realize that the species they had ignored might become something far greater than anyone had imagined. The successful activation of the horizon sphere's quantum reactor changed everything. What had once been a forgotten alien failure resting beneath Earth's oceans was rapidly becoming the center of humanity's future. Power now flowed through vast sections of the ancient vessel, bringing dormant systems back to life one after another. New corridors illuminated for the first time in centuries. Massive manufacturing chambers awakened. Navigation systems began responding. Entire sections of the ship that had remained sealed since its construction slowly opened to human exploration. Jisoo, Yuna, Dae, and thousands of researchers worked tirelessly as the project entered its most exciting stage. Every month brought discoveries that accelerated human progress. The AI, which had once viewed success as nearly impossible, now actively assisted human engineers. Even so, many challenges remained. The horizon sphere was enormous, far larger than any human structure ever built. Restoring it completely would require years of effort. Yet humanity had gained something even more valuable than technology. They had gained confidence. For the first time, people across Earth began looking beyond their own world and imagining a future among the stars. New space programs emerged. Orbital shipyards were constructed. Young students dreamed of becoming explorers rather than simply scientists. Humanity was changing. Meanwhile, far beyond the solar system, concern was spreading through parts of the Galactic Union. The reports coming from remote monitoring stations could no longer be ignored. Sensors confirmed that the abandoned vessel was generating energy levels previously thought impossible. Several dormant systems had been restored. Internal communications networks were active. The impossible was happening. In a distant Union research center, analysts reviewed the latest data with disbelief. Some insisted the readings were wrong. Others suggested that unknown civilizations might be helping humanity. Few wanted to accept the truth. A species that had never officially joined the galactic community was succeeding where advanced civilizations had failed. The situation became serious enough that a small observation fleet was dispatched to quietly investigate. Their mission was simple: observe Earth, gather information, avoid contact. The fleet arrived near the outer edge of the solar system and immediately began monitoring human activity. What they discovered shocked them. Human orbital infrastructure had expanded dramatically. New stations surrounded Earth. Mining operations existed throughout the asteroid belt. Manufacturing platforms were producing materials in quantities that should have been impossible for such a young civilization. Even more surprising was the activity around the Pacific Ocean. Enormous energy signatures indicated that the Horizon Sphere was approaching operational status. The observers sent urgent reports back to Union space. On Earth, nobody knew they were being watched. The focus remained entirely on the ship. During one important inspection, UNA discovered that several propulsion systems buried deep within the vessel had survived almost intact. These engines were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. According to the AI, they were among the most advanced technologies ever developed by the Union. Unfortunately, they had never functioned correctly. Their instability was one of the main reasons the project had failed. Human engineers immediately began studying the problem. Once again, they noticed a familiar pattern. The original designers had created an extremely complicated control structure. Multiple systems constantly adjusted one another, creating endless conflicts. Instead of adding more controls, humans simplified the design. They rewrote sections of the propulsion software. UNA modified energy routing systems. Jisu oversaw structural reinforcement work to ensure the vessel could handle increased power output. Months later, the engines were ready for testing. The AI remained cautious. Historical records showed hundreds of failed attempts. Nevertheless, preparations moved forward. When the test finally began, powerful vibrations echoed throughout the ship. Ancient machinery awakened. Massive energy currents surged through the propulsion network. For a brief moment, everyone feared another failure. Then the engines stabilized. Cheers erupted throughout the command center. Once again, humanity had solved a problem that had defeated countless experts. The AI processed the results for several minutes before finally speaking. Engine performance exceeds original design specifications. Nobody had expected that outcome. Human modifications had not only repaired the engines, they had improved them. Similar results soon appeared throughout the vessel. Weapon systems became more efficient. Defensive fields grew stronger. Manufacturing facilities produced materials faster than intended. The Horizon Sphere was evolving into something its creators had never imagined. It was no longer simply an alien ship. It was becoming a human ship. As restoration continued, one question dominated every discussion. Could the vessel actually fly? The AI believed it was possible. Most major systems were operational. Structural repairs were nearly complete. Navigation networks had been restored. For the first time in history, the Horizon Sphere had a genuine chance of leaving Earth. The idea seemed unbelievable. The vessel was several kilometers long and rested beneath the ocean floor. Launching it would be one of the greatest engineering achievements ever attempted. Yet humanity embraced the challenge. Massive preparations began. Entire industries worked together to support the effort. Specialized facilities were built around the launch zone. Engineers developed new methods for moving and stabilizing the giant vessel. Every major nation contributed resources. The project had become a symbol of humanity itself. Years of preparation finally led to a single historic day. Around the world, billions of people watched live broadcasts. Schools paused classes. Businesses closed temporarily. Streets filled with crowds gathering around giant screens. Humanity was about to attempt something no civilization had ever accomplished. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, final systems checks were completed. Jisu stood inside the command center, surrounded by thousands of engineers and scientists. Yuna monitored the propulsion systems. Day supervised navigation controls. The AI managed countless processes simultaneously. The atmosphere was tense but hopeful. After decades of work, everything depended on the next few hours. The countdown began. Across Earth, people held their breath. At 0, the Horizon Sphere awakened fully. Energy surged through every deck. Massive engines activated. Powerful gravitational fields formed around the vessel. The ocean above began to move. Water displaced outward as the ancient ship slowly rose from the seafloor. For the first time in centuries, the horizon sphere moved. The sight stunned the world. The enormous vessel emerged from the ocean surrounded by clouds of steam and glowing energy. Its metallic hull reflected sunlight as it climbed higher and higher. Entire cities watched from coastlines. Ships stopped moving. Aircraft altered course to observe the impossible spectacle. Humanity's greatest achievement was rising into the sky. The horizon sphere climbed through the atmosphere with surprising grace. Clouds parted around its immense structure. As it reached orbit, celebrations erupted across the planet. Many people cried openly. Others stood in silent amazement. Humanity had entered a new era. Yet the most important moment was still ahead. Once safely in orbit, the ship prepared to activate its faster-than-light drive. According to the AI, no human had ever traveled beyond the solar system. Everything was ready. The engines charged. Navigation systems locked onto a destination just outside the system. The countdown began. Seconds later, space itself appeared to bend around the vessel. A brilliant flash illuminated the darkness. Then the horizon sphere vanished. For several moments, Earth received no signal. Millions watched nervously. Then communications returned. The ship had successfully completed its jump. Humanity had crossed the stars. Cheers spread across the planet. History had changed forever. But while Earth celebrated, the observation fleet hidden near the edge of the solar system watched with growing alarm. Their sensors recorded everything. The abandoned vessel had not only been restored, it had become operational. Worse, its performance exceeded historical records. The fleet commander immediately transmitted a priority message back to Union space. The report traveled across countless light years until it finally reached senior officials. When they reviewed the data, disbelief quickly turned into concern. The horizon sphere had been one of the galaxy's greatest failures. Now it was flying under human control. Discussions erupted across Union leadership circles. Some argued that humanity should be contacted peacefully. Others viewed the situation as dangerous. A civilization previously considered primitive now possessed one of the most advanced vessels ever built. As debates continued, the news spread farther. Traders heard rumors. Scientists discussed impossible reports. Military leaders demanded information. Across the galaxy, curiosity slowly transformed into unease. And aboard the horizon sphere, as it traveled among the stars for the first time, Jisoo stood on the bridge looking through a massive observation window. Endless stars stretched across the darkness ahead. Beside her, the AI quietly analyzed incoming data. After a long silence, it finally spoke. Humanity has achieved what no civilization expected. Jisoo smiled as distant stars shimmered before her. Unknown worlds waited beyond the darkness. New challenges lay ahead. The galaxy had spent centuries ignoring Earth. Very soon, it would have no choice but to notice. The news of humanity's successful starflight spread across the galaxy faster than anyone on Earth could imagine. What began as whispers among traders and scientists soon became the main topic of discussion inside countless star systems. The name Horizon Sphere, once remembered as the greatest engineering failure in galactic history, was suddenly being spoken again. This time, however, it was being spoken with concern. Reports confirmed that the abandoned vessel was not only operational but performing better than its original design. Even more shocking was the fact that it was under the control of humanity, a species that most civilizations had barely noticed before. On Earth, celebrations continued as humanity embraced its new place among the stars. New exploration missions were planned. Orbital shipyards expanded rapidly. Technologies gained from the horizon sphere transformed everyday life. Energy shortages disappeared. Medical science advanced dramatically. Entire industries evolved. Humanity was no longer looking only at Earth. It was looking outward toward the galaxy. Aboard the horizon sphere, Jisoo, Yuna, Day, and thousands of crew members continued exploring nearby star systems. The ship's AI remained an important partner in every mission. With each journey, new discoveries were made. Habitable worlds were mapped. Valuable resources were identified. Ancient ruins left by long-forgotten civilizations were studied. Humanity's knowledge expanded at an incredible pace. Yet not everyone in the galaxy welcomed these developments. Deep inside a powerful region of Union space existed a military empire known for its aggressive policies. For generations, its leaders believed that advanced technology should remain under the control of established powers. The rise of humanity threatened that belief. To them, Earth had gained access to technology it did not deserve. Worse, humans were improving it. Their leaders viewed this as a dangerous precedent. If a young civilization could challenge accepted limits, other species might follow. Meetings were held behind closed doors. Military commanders studied reports about the Horizon Sphere. Politicians debated possible responses. Eventually, a decision was made. Humanity would be forced to surrender the vessel. The Empire believed that a simple display of power would solve the problem. After all, they commanded one of the largest fleets in known space. A primitive species would surely obey. Several months later, while the Horizon Sphere conducted exploration operations near an unclaimed system, a massive alien fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. Hundreds of warships appeared across the darkness. Their weapons locked onto the human vessel. Alarm signals echoed throughout the bridge. Crew members rushed to their stations. Jisoo immediately studied the tactical display while Yuna monitored defensive systems. Day worked rapidly to analyze incoming communications. Moments later, a message arrived. The Empire's commander appeared on the main screen. His expression was cold and confident. He informed humanity that the Horizon Sphere was property of the Galactic Union and must be surrendered immediately. He also demanded that all research data be handed over. Failure to comply, he warned, would result in military action. Silence filled the bridge after the message ended. The demand quickly reached Earth. Global leaders reviewed the situation carefully. For decades, humanity had worked to repair the vessel. Millions of people had dedicated their lives to the project. Countless sacrifices had been made. Nobody was willing to simply hand it over. After a brief consultation, Earth's response was transmitted. The answer contained only one word: no. The Empire's commander was stunned. He had expected fear, negotiation, or surrender. Instead, humanity refused without hesitation. Anger spread throughout his fleet. Within hours, attack preparations began. The first war between humanity and a galactic power was about to start. Despite the danger, panic never spread through the Horizon Sphere. Human crews remained calm. Throughout history, humans had often faced stronger opponents. They understood that victory did not always belong to whoever possessed the largest force. The AI carefully analyzed enemy formations and quickly noticed something interesting. The Empire's tactics were extremely predictable. Their commanders relied heavily on established doctrine. Every movement followed strict rules. Every engagement used familiar strategies. Human officers saw opportunity. As enemy ships moved into attack positions, the Horizon Sphere performed maneuvers that surprised everyone. Instead of maintaining distance, the giant vessel accelerated directly toward the center of the enemy formation. The Empire's commanders hesitated. No ship of that size should have been capable of such movement. The human-modified engines pushed the vessel beyond expected limits. Moments later, the first battle began. Energy beams flashed across space. Missiles raced through the darkness. Defensive fields illuminated like giant shields of light. The Empire expected an easy victory. Instead, they encountered something entirely different. Human crews constantly adapted during combat. They changed tactics in real time. Engineers modified systems while battles were still underway. Day rewrote targeting algorithms to exploit weaknesses discovered only minutes earlier. Yuna redirected power across multiple networks to strengthen damaged defenses. Jisoo coordinated tactical decisions with incredible speed. The Horizon Sphere responded like a living organism rather than a machine. Enemy commanders struggled to predict its actions. As the battle continued, the Empire suffered losses far greater than expected. Their formations began breaking apart. Several ships were disabled. Others retreated to avoid destruction. The AI carefully observed every development. Finally, it understood something that had puzzled it for years. The reason humans succeeded where others failed was not superior technology. It was adaptability. Most civilizations design systems to operate perfectly under expected conditions. Humans expected things to go wrong. They built flexibility into everything they created. This allowed them to overcome challenges that defeated more advanced species. News of the battle spread rapidly across nearby systems. Smaller civilizations watched closely. Many of them had spent years living under the influence of larger powers. Seeing humanity resist inspired them. Some quietly began sharing intelligence with Earth. Others offered logistical support. A few even dispatched volunteers to assist human operations. Humanity was gaining allies without seeking them. The conflict soon escalated. Unwilling to accept defeat, the Empire assembled an even larger fleet. Thousands of warships gathered near a strategic region bordering Union territory. Their goal was clear: destroy the Horizon Spear and end humanity's rise before it continued further. Earth understood the threat. Every available resource was mobilized. Human shipyards worked around the clock. New vessels joined the growing fleet. Although they were smaller than alien warships, they incorporated lessons learned from the Horizon Spear. Human engineers improved designs constantly. By the time the final confrontation approached, humanity possessed a capable force of its own. The decisive battle began near a vast nebula illuminated by distant stars. Fleets filled the darkness as thousands of ships prepared for combat. It was one of the largest engagements in recent galactic history. The Empire believed overwhelming numbers would guarantee victory. Human commanders believed otherwise. As fighting erupted, the Horizon Spear once again became the center of attention. The vessel moved through enemy formations with incredible precision. Human tactics disrupted coordinated attacks. Small human ships exploited gaps that larger fleets overlooked. Whenever new problems appeared, crews adapted immediately. Hour after hour, the battle continued. Gradually, the Empire's advantage disappeared. Their commanders grew frustrated as carefully planned strategies failed repeatedly. Eventually, a breakthrough occurred. Day identified a weakness in the enemy command network. Human vessels launched a coordinated operation targeting communication relays. The attack succeeded. Enemy coordination collapsed. Fleet formations broke apart. Confusion spread across the battlefield. Sensing opportunity, Jesu ordered a full advance. The Horizon Spear surged forward. Human forces followed. Within hours, the Empire's fleet was retreating. What had begun as an attempt to intimidate humanity ended in a historic defeat. Across the galaxy, reactions were immediate. Military analysts reviewed battle recordings with disbelief. Political leaders reconsidered their assumptions about Earth. Civilizations that had never heard of humanity suddenly wanted information. The species once dismissed as primitive had defeated one of the most powerful fleets in known space. On the bridge of the Horizon Spear, exhausted crew members celebrated their victory. Yet the AI remained focused on the larger picture. For centuries, the galaxy had viewed humanity as unimportant. That perception no longer existed. The battle had changed everything. As damaged enemy ships disappeared into distant space, a message arrived from the retreating commander. His voice lacked the confidence he once possessed. He acknowledged defeat and ordered his remaining forces to withdraw. For the first time, humanity had fought among the stars and won. Standing beside the observation window, Jesu looked at the countless stars beyond. The road ahead remained uncertain. New challenges would come. New enemies would emerge. Yet one truth had become impossible to deny. Humanity was no longer a forgotten species living on a distant world. It had become a power the galaxy could not ignore. The victory over the powerful empire sent shockwaves across the galaxy that lasted for years. News of the battle traveled from one star system to another until nearly every civilization had heard the same unbelievable story. Humanity, a species once ignored and considered primitive, had defeated one of the strongest military forces in known space. Even more astonishing was the fact that they had done it using the Horizon Spear, the abandoned vessel that countless advanced civilizations had labeled a failure. Across Earth, celebrations filled cities, space stations, and colonies. People who had followed the ship's journey from the beginning could hardly believe how far humanity had come. What started as a mysterious wreck hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean had become the foundation of a new era. Yet despite their victory, humanity did not become arrogant. Jisoo, Yuna, Day, and the leaders of Earth understood that true strength came from learning, adapting, and building relationships. Instead of preparing for conquest, humanity focused on exploration, diplomacy, and cooperation. This surprised many alien governments. They had expected humans to seek revenge against those who had ignored or threatened them. Instead, Earth began offering trade agreements, scientific partnerships, and peaceful exchanges. Several smaller civilizations accepted immediately. They had watched humanity stand against a powerful empire and admired both their courage and restraint. New alliances formed rapidly. Trade routes expanded. Joint research programs connected worlds that had rarely worked together before. Humanity became a bridge between species rather than a ruler over them. Meanwhile, the Galactic Union faced an uncomfortable truth. For centuries, its leaders had proudly presented themselves as the guardians of progress and wisdom. Now they were forced to admit that their greatest mistake had become humanity's greatest achievement. Secret reports concerning the Horizon Spear were reviewed again and again. Historical records showed every failed attempt to repair the vessel. Entire generations of engineers had declared it impossible. Yet humans had not only restored it but improved it. This realization sparked intense debate inside the Union. Some officials argued that humanity should immediately be invited into galactic leadership. Others struggled to accept how badly they had underestimated Earth. In the end, reality could not be ignored. Humanity had earned its place. While politicians debated, work aboard the Horizon Spear continued. The vessel had become more than a ship. It was now the flagship of a growing human fleet. New vessels inspired by its technology were entering service every year. Human engineers continued improving designs, often discovering solutions that alien experts had never considered. Yuna led projects focused on advanced propulsion systems. Day oversaw increasingly sophisticated artificial intelligence networks. Jisoo coordinated exploration missions into regions of space that had never been mapped. The AI remained at the center of everything. Over the years, it had changed as much as humanity had. What began as a cautious observer had become a trusted partner. It learned from humans while sharing its own vast knowledge. One day, while reviewing historical records, the AI uncovered information that even it had forgotten. Deep within its memory archives existed the original vision of the Horizon Spear's creators. Long ago, the vessel had not been intended primarily as a warship. Its designers had dreamed of building a ship capable of exploring the unknown regions beyond mapped space. Military systems were added later as political tensions increased. The original purpose had slowly been forgotten. When the AI shared this discovery with Jisoo, she felt something important click into place. Humanity had spent years fighting to protect itself, but exploration had always been their true goal. The stars had drawn humans forward since the beginning of civilization. Soon afterward, preparations began for the largest exploration mission in human history. During this period, an official invitation finally arrived from the Galactic Union. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations gathered for a historic council meeting. Humanity was asked to attend as an equal member. The event took place on a massive station located near the center of Union space. For the first time, human delegates walked among species that had once viewed Earth as insignificant. Jisoo, Yuna, and several diplomatic representatives traveled aboard the Horizon Spear to attend. As the giant vessel entered the station's orbit, thousands of ships paused to watch. Many aliens saw the legendary ship with their own eyes for the first time. Some stared in admiration. Others still felt disbelief. The same vessel they had once mocked now symbolized one of the galaxy's greatest success stories. Inside the council chamber, Leaders from countless worlds gathered. The atmosphere was tense but respectful. Eventually, the Union's senior representative addressed the assembly. He openly acknowledged the mistakes of the past. He admitted that humanity had been underestimated. He admitted that the Horizon Sphere had been abandoned too quickly. Most importantly, he admitted that human achievements had changed the galaxy for the better. The speech surprised many attendees. Then came an even more important announcement. Humanity was formally invited to join the highest level of galactic leadership. The chamber remained silent for several moments before applause spread throughout the hall. Civilizations from every region offered their support. Humanity had earned recognition not through inheritance or privilege, but through effort, determination, and innovation. After the ceremony, Jisoo stood near one of the station's observation windows looking out at the stars. The journey from a hidden ocean trench to the center of galactic civilization felt almost unreal. Yuna joined her, followed by Day. Together they watched countless ships move through the darkness. The AI's voice quietly emerged from a nearby terminal. "Historical analysis complete," it said. Jisoo smiled. "And?" The AI paused briefly before answering. "Humanity has achieved what the creators of the Horizon Sphere originally hoped to accomplish." Those words carried special meaning. The ship's creators had dreamed of reaching beyond known boundaries. Although they failed, their dream had survived. Humanity had inherited it. Months later, the Horizon Sphere departed once again. This time, however, its mission was different. Rather than preparing for war or diplomacy, it carried explorers, scientists, engineers, and dreamers. A growing fleet accompanied it. Their destination lay far beyond known space, where strange readings suggested the existence of an entirely unexplored galactic region. No civilization had ever traveled there. Some believed dangerous phenomena blocked access. Others claimed ancient mysteries waited beyond the frontier. Naturally, humanity wanted to find out for themselves. As the fleet traveled farther than any human mission before it, excitement spread throughout every ship. New generations had grown up hearing stories about the Horizon Sphere. Now they were becoming part of its legacy. Children born in orbital colonies looked toward the stars with the same wonder their ancestors once felt on Earth. Scientists prepared experiments. Explorers studied maps. Engineers developed new technologies during the journey itself. Humanity was still adapting, still learning, and still moving forward. One evening, as distant stars filled the observation deck, Jisoo reflected on everything that had happened. The galaxy had thrown away a broken ship because it seemed useless. Most civilizations saw only failure. Humans had seen possibility. They repaired what others abandoned. They improved what others dismissed. They transformed a forgotten wreck into a symbol of hope. The lesson reached far beyond technology. It reflected something fundamental about humanity itself. When faced with impossible odds, humans rarely stopped trying. They questioned assumptions. They searched for new paths. They turned mistakes into opportunities. Beside her, the AI watched the endless sea of stars. "New destination approaching," it announced. Ahead of the fleet, a massive region of unexplored space slowly appeared on sensors. Strange stars shimmered within the darkness. Unknown worlds waited beyond the frontier. The Horizon Sphere accelerated toward them, leading humanity into another chapter of its story. Behind them lay a galaxy that had finally learned to respect Earth. Ahead of them waited mysteries no civilization had ever seen. As the fleet vanished into the unknown, carrying the hopes of an entire species, one truth had become impossible to deny. The galaxy had thrown away a failure, but humanity had found a beginning, and that beginning had grown into a power among the stars.